Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Today is August 26th, and this is one of our bi-weekly SIG CLI meetings. My name is Maciej, and I'll be your host today. We have a packed agenda, but before we get to 120 planning, which is the main goal of our today's meeting, a couple announcements. First of all, welcome Sayam. Sayam is our summer intern, and he will be helping us with improving both kubectl and customized docs. So welcome aboard, Sayam. We're super thrilled and excited to have you here with us, and we're looking forward to the work that will be part of your summer internship. Do you want to add a couple words to this one?
Yeah. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited to be a part of the Kubernetes community and the CNCF community as well. And the thing is, I'll be contributing primarily to docs on the kube control and customize, as you said. So I'll be focusing on adding more examples, creating more guides to make it more accessible to the end user primarily. And we're also planning on building a centralized site which homes both kube control and the customized docs, so that people don't have to juggle between both the sites in order to get mapping. I mean, they don't have to struggle mapping the kube control and customized stuff. And that's basically the goal. And I'm working along with Phil, and we're kind of having a big plan posted up. And we are planning to get it done within the end of this year, hopefully. And that's the plan. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, he's so Siam's going to the first thing they're working on is looking at the unifying the kube control book and docs and the customized docs to have like a single page that kind of outlines all of our tools and provides a holistic view of all of them. And so he's going to convert the kube control docs to Hugo and then work on integrating them together. So if that's interesting to you, reach out to Siam.
Phil, you said converting them to what? I didn't catch the technology.
Hugo. Hugo is the name of the docs framework.
Got it. Thanks.
If I remember, we are using CUDA already in the main Kubernetes docs. Is that right, Phil?
Yeah, the main Kubernetes docs use Hugo, and the customized docs use Hugo, and the kube control book uses Gitbook.
I'm not gonna say out loud who created that with Gitbook.
It was a terrible decision. That person should be banned. It was me.
This is all great news. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Siam.
And
thanks, Google. Google, I think, is the one funding the docs, Summer of Docs, or whatever it is. So thank you.
Okay. Another important announcement is that 119, I think it GA'd earlier today, or is about to be GA within the next couple of minutes. I was hoping to see an announcement on Slack, but I haven't seen one. But I'm pretty sure that I've seen somewhere, and definitely the docs. And the last time I was checking the SIG release, there were, yes, 26th is the day when we will be GA 119, so that should happen today-ish. Unfortunately, I don't have 120 dates yet. I've heard that there are some discussions. I haven't got to those yet. And I was just checking in the SIG release. There's 120 directory that appeared within a couple of past days. But that only contains the release team. Okay.
So Maciej?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Just as part of that 119 GA, I put at the bottom of the topic for 120 planning one of the issues that Jordan and the release team had brought up to us in SIG CLI about the SKU test failing, which affected the release. And so I was hoping that for 120 we could put a few resources into maybe getting those tests back on track, so that it doesn't get in the way of the rest of the Kubernetes releases. And another big thank you to Brian personally for actually digging into that issue and addressing some of the SKU tests, which is kind of usually a thankless job, but really appreciate him putting effort on that to help the rest of Kubernetes in the 119 GA.
You're welcome, and I'll be glad to help with any other work on that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll try to put some time in on it as well. And I apologize that I wasn't there to help as much in the last few days.
Yeah, well put together. Before we move on to 120 planning, I would like to welcome new faces. I know that Paul is new because he spoke up before we started the recording that he's new. So welcome, Paul. You want to introduce yourself and speak a little bit about what you're interested in and what do you want to work on with regards to SIG CLI?
Sure. You probably know my colleague, Bailey Hayes. I think she's joined a couple of times. She's one of our young leaders, and she's off being brainwashed in how to be a good one by HR and things like that. It's a real honor, actually, for her to be selected into that program, but still. I'm her boss. I'm an old guy who's been doing this for a really long time, since he worked on punch cards. I'm also the troublemaker of all of the changes that happened in Customize 3.8 and 3.81, where the switch over to a different YAML. Sorry, someone else is calling me on. There we go. They introduced some changes that we've got a pretty big investment in Customize, and we want it to work from month to month because we're deploying to lots of customers, and we want their customizers to be stable across monthly releases of our software. So I'm joining in to see how it works and how I can contribute. I did try to start debugging on a plugin, but on my Mac, I cannot get the plugin and the main thing to be the same version of Go. And so my debugger just gives me the finger. So I don't mean to derail the meeting, but if anyone knows how that works, I'd appreciate a little tip sheet after the meeting or offline somehow. So thanks for letting me talk.
Yeah, definitely worth reaching out to at Slack and writing down your problem. I'm pretty sure that others that are working on Mac specifically will be able to help you debug the problem. I personally I'm not a Mac user, so I won't be able to help. I remember that Phil was a Mac guy. I'm not sure if Sean is. It's hard for me to say who else is.
I'm a Mac user, but Jeff is the master of customized plugins.
Ping me on Slack. This is Jeff Reagan, Monopole. Ping me on Slack right after the meeting, and we can chat.
Hi, Jeff. My handle's Horn Polish, so we've talked a little bit there. I will get up with you on the Slack channel. Thanks.
Perfect. Do we have anyone else who is new to our call that would like to introduce themselves?
Hello, my name is Rohit. I am new. Thank you. This is the first time I'm attending this meeting, and I'm totally new to this Kubernetes repository. I'm looking forward to contribute code documentation, almost everything, but my main focus is contributing code and learning more about it. Happy to be here.
Okay, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Anyone else new? Okay, I think I'm scrolling through the participants list. I'm not seeing the rest. I think I recall from the previous meetings. Okay, so with that, we can move on to the main topic, which is 120 planning. I've copied here our 119 planning items so that we can go through them. And if something was completed within 119, then obviously we will be removing this. So probably the biggest topic that has been going on and on and on for a good couple of years already is the move to staging. There is a big hope because SIG scheduling started and convinced the SIG architecture, and especially the part that is responsible for code organization, to have a library. Currently, the library will be called component helpers, if I remember correctly. I'll make sure to link the PR after the call to the agenda. Once that new repository with basically library utilities will be created, we will be able to move our auth shared code, which we share between auth reconcile and the API server. And as soon as that happens, we will be then able to move kubectl out of the main Kubernetes repository, which is something that we've been working on for quite a while already. So that is our top priority, and everything looks like 120 will be the place where we will have completed the move. And then once the move is completed, we will start discussing the process, how to release kubectl, how to build it and release it outside of the main Kubernetes repository, which will be another big battle for us. Another one that is happening, I think, for 2 releases already is kubectl debug. It's one of the 2 alpha commands that we're trying to introduce. Debug is being mostly worked on by Lee Verbon with another person helping him. We currently have support for ephemeral containers, debugging as a through copying the pods. There's currently also the ability to debug a node by creating a host mounted path. I think we're slowly getting to a point where we will be moving debug to a broader usage. So I'm very happy with the progress that is happening with kubectl debug. If at any point in time you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. I'll be talking through the ones that I know that I remember. Kubectl events, we put together, well, Hipanshu put together a proposal. Hipanshu is part of the SIG user experience. He put together a proposal about 2 releases ago or something like that. It got merged, but unfortunately somehow we never got to actually implementing it. He started just before 119, but that did not get sufficient time to be finished for 119. So I'm very hopeful for 120 to be able to introduce the kubectl events command. There's the work of server-side describe. I've been talking with Clayton because he already figured it out, but the problem is that he has it currently in his head. I need to reach out to him and once again to put the thoughts into a document or enhancements ideally, and then we can start the implementation phase. The next one is coming from a proposal from Phil from quite a while, where we will be sending the command metrics through kubectl headers so that the server can collect those metrics, and we will have much more insights into what are the most used commands. Unfortunately, that did not happen. The next one, which is hiding server-side applied data in kubectl edit, that actually made it in 119. So kubectl edit should not show the managed fields. There are still discussions about whether we want to show the managed fields with different outputs such as JSON or YAML. But from those discussion is that since both JSON and YAML are meant to provide rote output the way the object is being stored on the server, we will not be modifying those. And additionally, there are simple ways through JQ that you can strip that particular field from the output. So I'm going to remove that one because that's completed. Kubectl edit enrich with OpenAPI data, which is basically having some kind of hints inside of edit coming from OpenAPI data. The OpenAPI data is something that you can see when you invoke kubectl explain on a particular field. Kubectl's Q warning, whenever version is 2 or higher, we have, if I remember correctly, we have 2 warnings. Currently, there is 1 warning about beta, and that was implemented by Jordan. I can't remember, Sean, did you get a chance to finish that SKU warning when the version is 2 or higher, or that was Brian that implemented that one?
I was working on that, and it's on hold right now because there's some question about how intrusive it should be and getting buy-in from the larger community.
Okay, so that's still, I'll make sure to put Brian here as well.
Hey, Maciej, for that edit
Yeah.
with OpenAPI data, is there an issue open for that already?
I have no idea. Maybe there's none.
Okay, Corey and I were doing a bunch with that, so we can probably take that one on easily. We learned a ton about how all that works.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Perfect. Thanks a lot, Eddie. You're saying yourself and Kari.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Separate Cobra from options. I think there were some, there's an Uber issue from Sean and people started working on it. But I'm worried that I missed a couple of reviews on those. So I think the only problem is pushing those through reviews.
There's been one effort so far with Apply to basically try to get some tracer bullet and see what actually works to try to separate these two and make these. Just to give everybody else a little bit of background, the reason we're doing this is to try to make kubectl's code more reusable and easy to import without pulling in the CLI specific stuff. So that if it's used in a controller, you don't have this unneeded and unnecessary CLI Cobra stuff. So we've tried it with one, and we actually haven't found a overarching way that we want to approach all of these yet. But yeah, that sounds like a great thing to put resources on to, and hopefully we'll all keep in touch in this effort so that we can do it in a consistent manner across all the commands.
I think we should merge that one and the one below it, the complete validate run stuff. That's been open for a while. We still aren't in agreement on like what belongs where. So I really think we just all need to come together and like dissect a command and tweak it to where we all want it. especially if we're separating the command, the Cobra logic out of it. So,
I was about to talk about the other one, which is the complete validate run. I remember that I was looking at it, Eddie, last time, a couple weeks back, and I probably still owe you a review. Definitely, I agree that we should finish that one, and 120 seems like a good starting point. Get it, sorry. Get it completed, and then definitely we can always tweak it as we need, as we find necessary. But at least we will have a pointer for newcomers and other people. So yeah, can you Eddie ping me with the link to that PR? It will be just faster, and I'll make sure to have it in my queue for tomorrow. And let's start with getting that one merged, or eventually agree on the final bits that need to be tweaked there, and have it merged within the next week or so, probably as soon as the queue, or at least tagged within the week. And then as soon as the queue will opens for 120, we will be able to get it in.
yeah, no, that sounds great. No, the reason I brought it up was because part of this was 119. We had originally wanted to rework all the commands to have that same model. So if we're going to be separating Cobra out of them anyways, we should just all do the one refactor together. It'd probably make a lot more sense than doing 2 passes on all of it.
Yeah, I see no objections on that one. Although probably since you have pretty much completed the first one, you can get that one merged and then work another PR. But it's hard for me to say anything about merging because I don't know the dates for 120. So I don't know when we will be able to merge, whether it's worthy to wait a little bit more and get the rest work. Although if I remember correctly, the config that you were working on was pretty simple. So separation of the Cobra logic should be pretty straightforward and simple to do. I'll leave it up to you whether you want to do it within that PR or have a follow-up. I'm open, and I'll merge whichever option you want.
Okay, yeah, the nice thing will be once we have it figured out, then we can tag some issues as like good first issue and get some new contributors working on refactoring old commands to match the new pattern. So
yeah, definitely. And the pointer will be the crucial part of, yeah, this is how you do it. Okay, so the last item for 120 is the SKU tests. Once again, Brian, thank you very much for your work on the tests. I also have that particular issue for my list for tomorrow to review where we are with this one, how far we should be investing in this one, and definitely that should be a super high priority for us for 120 to get that one cleaned. At this point in time, does anyone have? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. So I just wanted to point out, in addition to some of the SKU tests failing, there were some flaky tests as well, which were hampering the 119 going to GA. And I know that that's an especially thankless job to try to clean up these flaky tests, but I think it's been a while since we've actually put resources and effort into our testing, into the kubectl tests, and maybe we should make sure that that's got some focus for this coming up 120 release.
Yeah, definitely.
I was talking to Hash Dan yesterday. I think he under SIG release or SIG testing. He's the one who's been hounding us for flaky tests for a while. Awesome dude. He said he's totally open to help folks who want to get started with testing more. And he talked about doing a live stream even to walk through it for new contributors. So maybe we can sync with Dan on that.
There's actually, I can't remember where I saw it. I was going through lots of my queues in the Slack and emails. There's a recording from SIG testing and a document from Jordan. There's probably about 35-minute walkthrough from Jordan about how to nail and solve problems, especially the tricky ones. I'll try to find this is the description, and I'll link that one in the agenda. That just I'm gonna put that in the chat, is where Jordan describes the entire process, including the tooling. I'm not sure if there's the recording is being linked here, but I'll find the recording and I'll also link that one to over here. This is definitely very helpful, even for myself when I was solving different problems with units, integration, and E2Es. I found it very super helpful, the insights that Jordan had there with regards to how to stress tests units and similar. It's definitely worth about 35 minutes of your time, especially if you're
The
interested.
video is at the top of that gist that you posted.
Yeah, it is. Oh, that's perfect. Oh yeah, video is here. Okay, yeah. And that's pretty, yeah, it's fresh. It was presented at meeting yesterday. So yeah, it's definitely worth your time, especially if you're into debugging those flakes. So yeah. Does anyone have any other topics that they want to bring up for 120 for this SIG?
Did we cover the customized libraries being pulled into kubectl? I'm not sure if that's targeted for 120. It seems like it's pretty close.
We talked with Jeff shortly before the meeting, basically as soon. So there are two steps required. One is customize needs to clean up a little bit of their own dependencies, if I remember correctly, and Jeff was pretty much ready with it, and I'm pretty sure that Jeff can speak much better than I do about that part. And on our kubectl side, we need to move to staging the kubectl.
What did you say, Jeff?
Yeah, I was going to mention it in the stand-up. I could talk about it now quickly, but
okay. I was just wondering if it should go. If there should be like just in 1.20 planning. Maybe we should just have a bullet point there, since it's a feature that will be going into 1.20.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so just you can copy and paste down below. There's 2 blocking bugs, and we get those things done, and then we should be able to integrate it. I definitely want to target 120 for the integration.
Okay, it's there.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, perfect. If you want to help with any of the pieces, feel free to reach out to the people named right next to the attempts, either or myself or Phil or Sean, and we will be able to point you to the right people if you want to help with some. The next topic is from Eddie. I think we talked about it several times during blocker bugs, but I'll let Eddie speak about it.
Yeah, we talked last meeting about having a PR FAQ with just like consistent answers. And so we have historical stuff that's not in all your brains. So if you could help me by abstracting some of your I don't want to say tribal knowledge anymore, your historical knowledge and context into this doc, that would be great. I will keep pestering you until you do this, please.
I see my name and Phil name for at
Bill
least
owed it
two
to
of them.
me last week and he didn't deliver, so.
I promised that one probably during my last call and didn't deliver it either. So, okay, let me write it down. I'll make sure to do it tomorrow. It's, well, running a little bit late over here. It's 6:30 already.
I did suggest a fact page for the new doc site, though, so I should get some points for that.
Yeah, no, we can include this wherever. I figured this would just go in the repo under a markdown doc, and we can link to it in like the PR template. But we got an issue open yesterday for confirmation when using all again, and this is a historical one that we said no to, right? So like if we can just get together a copy paste, like here's the reason why no, like, and we can hand off the runbook to other people too for triage.
Yeah, and this should probably go, I expect this should actually just go in the doc site as well. Like there should be a FAQ on the kube control doc site, and then we'll link to that.
What we talked about is we will start with this because it'll be easier to collaborate for starters. And then we will just put that one into the main Kubernetes kubectl repo. And we will have a FAQ at the root of kubectl. This way, you know, when you will be looking, and we probably should link the FAQ right next to contributing so that people know where to look for this. But yeah, it'll be in a visible place.
So any other questions or historical knowledge you think of, just please get it in this doc and then we have it all there.
Okay, perfect. Are there any other topics that people want to bring up before we move to stand-ups? Okay, hearing none. So stand-ups it is. Jeff, you want to talk about the customizing kubectl update?
Yeah, I'll make it quick. So the reason we have had trouble with getting customized reintegrated into kubectl is because of the library dependencies. Historically, there's been this YAML editing code in the bowels of API machinery, and we cannot depend on it in customize and also integrate customize into kubectl without getting having all sorts of trouble. So we are modifying customize to depend on a new library called KYAML, which also lives in the customize repository. And there are currently in the code base for customize, customize uses these interfaces, and behind the interfaces are different implementations that are based on the code in API machinery, and implementations that are based on the code in the KYAML library. The two issues linked from the notes here are describe the final work necessary, the final implementations needed to finish the break with the API machinery dependence. Once those two issues are closed, and they're both labeled help wanted, by the way, that's why I'm here. Once those two issues are closed, the way is clear to ship a version of Kustomize that does not depend on API machinery at all. And once we've established that's pretty much, that's no more buggy than the version that does depend on Kubernetes. Once we've established that, then we are clear to delete the API machinery dependence. And then importing it into Kustomize will be, importing Kustomize into kubectl will be no more different than importing, say, the HTML, HTTP libraries in any other build package. So that's the plan, and those two issues there are the remaining blockers.
Okay, good to hear that one. Thanks a lot. Eddie?
Can I share my screen real quick?
Yeah, sure. Let me stop sharing quickly. And I also need to do a co-host.
Got it.
You should be able.
So Corey and I have been working pretty hard on this kubectl generate idea that spun out of the last meeting. And I just have a quick high-level demo to show. We originally wrote up a KEP for something a bit different and then went through some feedback and iterations, and Phil had some great ideas on how to tweak it a bit. And so we've kind of landed on this place to use custom schemas to hook into the open API definition. It's sort of like probably like a 3-phase rollout to get where we actually envision. But I have a quick demo. So I have kubectl generate, which is, right now it's just a plugin. And so I can generate a deployment. And so this spits me out a commented out deployment, very straightforward, very basic. But how this is actually working is it's hooking into OpenAPI. I have a local hard-coded template in here, which we imagine we'll have to do at first with some of our like sanctioned, whitelisted templates. And so this is just a hard-coded template that's OpenAPI spec. And this example field is actually built into the OpenAPI. So right now, all we're doing is kind of merging this into the deployment upstream. And here's our example. So that's cool, but that's hard-coded. And so Corey actually added the ability to use a local file. So we can generate with a local deployment. This also works with the remote URL too, right? So we have a totally different deployment that's defined locally, right? So the idea behind this is that orgs can, if people don't like our suggested or recommended templates to get started, they can provide their own overwrites, right? So maybe you have an org-specific template that you want to use upstream, then everyone in your org can have the same template when generating a deployment. The other really nice thing about this is this works with CRDs out of the box for free. So as long as CRD authors provide examples inside of their schema definitions, this will automatically work with generating templates for CRDs. So that's sort of the phase 1 approach. Is the idea is we can have some hard-coded examples that we merge into the upstream OpenAPI spec. So once we figure out, okay, people use it, this makes sense, it's a good idea, then we can actually get those definitions added upstream to the OpenAPI spec. So we don't have to do that merging anymore. And so then we also have the OpenAPI providing those, and then we have the ability to use remote overrides. Phase 2 is more of an idea of plugging in like customized setters to those templates, where we can pass in some flags and define setters that will override all different fields in that template. So maybe you can provide an image and it will plug in your image for you. Phase 3 is more, it's definitely longer term out there. The idea is to have a custom OpenAPI extension that has a concept of a template, and then we can dynamically parse out command line flags that are provided, match them up to the custom API, OpenAPI spec, and then do those overrides and fill in the templates. We can also sugarcoat with like Skylark scripts, which basically, if you didn't know, Skylark is plugged into almost every part of Kubernetes right now. And so we can do Skylark scripts to override all of this. So that's the basic idea. We're hoping to get this PR opened up to the SIG experiments, the CLI experiments, and then we're definitely looking for some people to play around with it, get feedback, and pull it apart. So.
Yeah, that's great, Eddie. Thank you. It's awesome to see a problem just last meeting being brought up and already having working code demonstrating a solution. And I'll just add to what Eddie was saying is that one of the motivations for this was the have more support for the create commands, and you can see that the architecture shown here does not actually support some of the requests naively, right? So like, how would you add environment variables as a flag, right, or these sorts of things? And the notion is that like the tooling we're building long term and really investing in is for declarative configuration, and that we're already thinking about how to solve that sort of stuff for declarative configuration. So like Eddie brought up, for instance, we have a notion of setters that works on declarative configuration and allows us like this extensible notion of doing setters and substitutions for different different fields in the configuration file. So rather than reinventing a new mechanism for generating, let's just reuse the mechanisms we're using for configuration files to expose flags and commands and such. And so the example would be just configuration. It would have the appropriate, setters or metadata or markup or whatever it is that we recommend people to use for their configuration. And then we would parse that from the CLI into flags or these sorts of things. Machi, I know that we've talked about this over the years. I think we've come up with different approaches. I'm curious to get your thoughts on if this seems like the right direction.
No. The direction is perfect. I think that's probably the best option that we could come up with. If I remember correctly, it nicely aligns with what we've been talking about in the past, which you were showing to me several times throughout KubeCons. Yeah. When Eddie was talking about the customized style setters in the examples, I recall that you were literally showing me something like that using the Kai-Yam library, I think in San Diego a couple months back. So yeah, it's definitely simple. It is, most importantly, it works with CRDs. That's the biggest thing. The fact that it works out of the box with CRDs, if the author decides for it to work. That's like game changer, because with the current approach of everything should be a CRD, we need to start approaching problems from this side rather than, oh, we need to cover the built-ins. The built-ins are probably the least of the problems at this point in time. So yeah, I'm super happy that within 2 weeks, we have a working prototype. So that basically means that in 120 we'll have a alpha command in kubectl.
That would be nice. We'll see.
Okay, we still have about 30 minutes left. So if you have any questions, or most importantly, ideas about the generate command that Eddie is working, reach out to Eddie. I'm pretty sure that we will definitely spend at least one of the upcoming meetings talking through where we are and where we want to go with that one. Okay, Nick, you're next.
Great. Yeah, we've been working on some internal stuff. One of the things that surfaced from that is some imperatives to start working on the jobs part of kubectl, which is all pretty darn nifty. I have a big serverless background, so I guess everything old is new again. So Kubi has some initial support for enhancing, sort of working with jobs. So for example, there's some sequence diagram views, so you can understand, with jobs and serverless generally, the problem of cold starts, problems of just how's your cluster configured in terms of capacity, so you understand load distribution and all that. So we have some initial support for that. One of the topics that came up that actually sort of plays off of what we were just talking about in terms of templates and customize as well. It occurred to me as I was working on this job stuff that there might be some interesting crossovers there, that jobs seems like a topic that's perfectly suited for this kind of template driven development that I may have. I'm defining a job that it's a template, and every time I run a job, it's some sort of customization, it's customized based instantiation of that template. Is there any thought in integrating that kind of usage model into sort of the core kubectl experience, more of a template driven, template run kind of dichotomy? Right now, every time I want to run a job, I have to craft a whole new YAML and apply it, as opposed to crafting a YAML, a template up front, akin to the stuff we were just talking about, and for my job definition, if you will. And then every time I run a job, I'm just plugging in some parameters, some different environment variables, some different args to the container, things like that.
Yeah, I remember answering that question several times in the past. Why there is no option to rerun a job, and the idea why we did the job the way it is done.
It seems fine. It just feels like it's a perfect opportunity to leverage some of the stuff Eddie was talking
Yeah.
about or customize generally. It seems like there's some really nice crossovers here.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I know the pain since I was something for the fact. Oh yeah, definitely that works. I can definitely speak about jobs since I was authoring that one long time ago. Okay, cool. I think that's pretty much all that we had in the agenda for today. Is there anything that that any one of the people want to bring up to the rest of the SIG?
Yes, I have something to add.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going through the contributing in that the contributing MD file in kubectl, and I believe some portions about it are outdated. Like there's a section meet the community where it is mentioned that once a new contributor is done filling the about me form, they should message the CLI mentors Google group. I think that CLI mentors Google group is not active anymore. I had a word yesterday with Philip Whitrock. So I was just wondering, like, in which, how do I get information, like how much of it is outdated, so I could open a PR for all removing all the outdated stuff.
Yeah, he reached out to me yesterday asking about the mentoring program, and I think there's some. I think we had a mentoring program at some point back, and I don't really remember what the state of that is. So I was suggesting that we, and I don't even have access to the Google group that it's done through anymore. So I was suggesting that if that's not active, we should remove it from the docs of the contributing section.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I'm just trying to figure out what we have or where we have stuff. And honestly,
It
not
it is
sure.
in the Kubernetes community repository.
That sounds like something that you should ping SIG contributor experience on. I think they're the ones who own all of that. It's great to bring it up. And SIG contribx is pretty awesome. They're very welcoming too.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'll ping them.
I mean, if I remember
Thanks.
correctly, they did recently. George Castro was tweeting about a set of updated resources. I can't remember exact, but if you look for George Castro on Twitter, I need to look for him. But yeah, just like Eddie said, definitely if you find something that is outdated, feel free to open a PR and ping any of us, and we will be able to either help you get the PR merged, or we will be able to direct you to the right people that can help you with merging those. But yeah, some data might be outdated. I'm not surprised, but yeah, any help with this is greatly appreciated. So yeah, that might be your very first contribution to the Kubernetes project.
I had one quick thing. If
Yeah.
y'all are creating interfaces or implementations of interfaces, make sure you please comment them and don't assume everyone can tell what it is from the title. I've been struggling going through building this generate thing. Like, I don't know what the hell a discovery client is. That doesn't make sense to me. Right? I don't know what a mapper is or a REST mapper resource for. So I think this is a broader Kubernetes issue, and especially if we can get, I don't remember the intern's name, but if he's writing documentation, maybe he can also document some of the internal libraries and structs that are existing.
Sean's I think has some material on this. In fact, I think he's done at least 2 KubeCon talks on like what the those sets of libraries. So see if you can find them in a Google search. I think they were like SIG CLI deep dive or overviews or something like that. And if not, reach out to Sean, and we could probably just take the videos of those talks and put them on the new doc site as some part of the material.
Yeah, that makes sense. Or writing and or trying to convert the video into some kind of a written form. There is that, well, hopefully not that much, but some might get outdated with time.
But yeah, you're not the only one, Eddie. That has been, I think everyone hits that that pretty steep learning curve with those. The good news is once you figure those out, everything else kind of makes sense.
Well, the worst part is like, so I'm still not a big fan of the Go tooling. Like, it's still not there. So I'll do like, give me the definition of some struct that I'm supposed to provide, and it takes me to the interface. And I'm like, okay. And then I do get me all the implementations of the interface, and there's like 8 different things scattered throughout API machinery, and like our utils package, and like open API. It's just like, it's very, very, the learning curve, especially because I'm not the best Go developer out there. I'm still learning Go, and like, this is very troublesome sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. You're not the first person to express that sentiment.
Yes, just to chime in as well, Eddie, so it has nothing to do with your Go development abilities. This is a very opaque area, has been for a long time, but once you get deeper insight into it, then you're going to actually have really good insight into many other facets of Kubernetes.
Okay, with that happy thought, I think we can close today's meeting. Thank you very much all for the past hour. That was a very fruitful discussion. We covered a lot of topic, and see you in 2 weeks. Thanks all. Bye.
Thanks, team.
Bye.
Cheers.